Hello and welcome to Two Tangle Tuesday, where we do two tangles in 20 minutes or less. Today, we're going to be drawing Walk the Line and Spiral. So I'm going to draw in a frame. So I put a dot in each corner and then connect that with a line. Alrighty, so we're going to start with Walk the Line. So to start Walk the Line, I'm going to start up here in the middle a little bit because it spreads out, and I'm going to do a couple of orbs in a circle. So I'm just gonna it doesn't have to be like in a little flower shape. That's just kind of how it ended up being. And then what I'm gonna do is make like a shape that kind of looks like a fried egg. So like that. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a series of very long loops. Now, the original step outs say to not pick up your pen, but my hand just wouldn't be able to draw over here. So we are going to pick up the pen a little bit. But basically, the idea is to draw these very small shapes. Touching the top of that little egg shape. Okay. And once you've done that, you're going to ink in the space that's around those little loops. Alrighty. Well, once you have all that colored in, then you're going to do it again. So we're not going to use the orbs this time. We're just going to use that scrambled egg kind of technique. So I'm not really auraing or anything like that. I'm just kind of making a wavy line that meets. Okay. So now you do the same thing. So, and the point is to kind of try to make them as straight up and down as you can, but you can see it still looks okay if they're not up and down. The key is to make them very thin. And then you do the same thing that you did over here and color in those little spaces. Alrighty. And then when you're finished with that, you're finished with walk the line. So I think it's really cool looking. It's a lot of fun to draw. And so, but I thought I would combine it with something that's really also kind of flowy, and that is spiral. And spiral is pretty interesting. I'm just gonna actually fill the edge over here. Gonna connect to this with some spiral. So you make a spiral like that, and then you end it with a little fescue like that. Okay. And then there's a couple of ways that they do it in the step outs, but I like to kind of do it on the top, and I'll kind of show you what I mean. So, and basically we're just going to make 3 little eyelashes with some dots on the top. Now, in part of the step outs in the example, they do have where it crosses the line right here. So, and that's fine, but I'm actually not going to do that. So the next step, I'm going to get my smaller pen because it's a little easier for me. And what you're going to want to do is put a little bit of weight onto one side of these little lash lines. Doesn't matter what side. Okay. And then add some weight over here as well. Okay. And now let's put one over here. And then another thing that you can do is kind of make a little tether for here. So you can do it on both sides of the line. And then when you get something that actually hits another line, what you can kind of do is round that off. They also have them growing off of each other. And that's basically how you do spiral. So I think that I might want to add maybe one or two more. Let's see how many I can fit on here. I'll dip this pen. All right, so that is a really fun tile, I think, of Walk the Line and Spiral. And now we are going to get to the shading. So my camera cut off when I was shading, so I'm sorry about that, but I'll show you what I did. So what I did was I put some graphite around these circles here, and then I put some around this shape right here, and then I blended that out. I do want to, you can blend some of it out into these little shapes, but I did want to have a darker line closer to the ink line. So I didn't blend that out that much. And then for these, what I did was I used what was on my tortillon, and I just shaded this little edge right here. You can see. And I also put a frame around it with a pen. And I'm very sorry that my camera cut off, but this is the Walk the Line and Spiral.